Hey guys, so I've wanted to start something new on this channel, and so as you can see, we're outside today, which means this video is going to be geared towards outdoor activities, specifically hiking. If you're already big into hiking, then that's great. I'm glad that we're in the same boat. But if it's not something that you've really done much of and it's something that you're wanting to get into more, hopefully this video will give you some things to think about and get you prepared for your next hike. Today's video is going to be about what I typically bring on a solo day hike. Keep in mind that these are personal things that I bring with me. It's not the end all for what you must bring on a day hike. This is just a basic overview of what you would consider and think about bringing on your own personal hike. But I also know that there are some things that I've left out that I don't bring with me, or maybe some things that I do bring that others don't bring. But hopefully this will give you a good starting point. So with that said, let's start hiking. So I couldn't do a video about hiking and not show you some B-roll of hiking. It just had to be done. But let's get into the list of things that I bring with me on a day hike. So first and foremost, one of the most important things to think about is, what is the weather like? And as you can see, got some snow behind me, which means that it's obviously pretty cold right now. So with the weather being like it is, obviously I've got my puffy on and I'm wearing this Appalachian Trail beanie. No, I have not done the Appalachian through hike, but it definitely is a goal of mine. The sun is out, so all I have underneath this puffy is a simple quick dry shirt, and I'm wearing some typical REI hiking pants. I'm definitely rocking my trail runners. I'm wearing the Adidas Terex. I know there's some other great brands out there, but I personally like Adidas, and when they started making trail runners, I got me a pair, and I've been pretty impressed with them. So one thing that I want to start off with saying that I bring that I think is often overlooked and maybe people don't think about very much is their wallet. Growing up, my dad would always tell me that I needed to take my wallet with me wherever I'm going, whether it is on a hike or just going into town, whatever it might be. As I've gotten older and have gained a little more wisdom and maturity, I've started to understand more of the reason behind it. Personally, I think it's just something good to always have with you. You know, we hope that this never happens to any of us, but the reality is that sometimes things do happen when we go hiking, whether, you know, it is that we get injured or a potential death scenario. And so it's a good idea to have that ID on you. That way people are able to identify your body. Again, we hope that this never happens, but sometimes accidents do happen. So always keep your wallet or at least your ID on you, whether you carry it on your person or in your pack. I definitely believe that it's something that everybody should be doing. Another thing that I typically always bring with me, I usually never go on a hike without bringing them, is a pair of sunglasses. Now, I don't go and invest in super expensive sunglasses. These are some really cheap ones that I got from my time when I was on the world race. Besides the fact that I just don't buy super expensive sunglasses, it's not something that I would bring whenever I'm hiking, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else because I don't see it as being worth the risk of potentially losing them or breaking them. Save those sunglasses for when you're going about town and bring the cheap pair when you're going hiking. So another thing that I typically always carry on me and I want to have quick access to is a pocket knife. Again, as the same reason with the sunglasses, I never bring an expensive knife on trail because I don't want to lose it, I don't want to break it. You're not going to see me hiking with a $100, $150 Benchmade. To me, there's no reason for bringing that expensive knife on a hike. Typically, I just bring something like this. I think I got this one at Walmart, but it's always good to have a knife on trail. You never know what the wildlife might do, but more so what a person might do, so it's always nice to have that protection. But aside from protection, knives are also just a great multi-tool to use for a number of different scenarios. So I definitely have a knife with me on trail because I never know when I might need it. Okay, so now that I've shown you what I carry on my person, let's dive into what I carry in my pack. So first off, I want to talk about the bag that I'm using. Right now, I'm using the Peter McKinnon packing cube, which comes in his Peter McKinnon Nomadic backpack. And I have several different day packs that I use, but there's a specific reason why I'm using this one right now. Let me show you why that is. So if I unzip the bottom section, it actually has a compartment made for carrying camera gear, which is really great for me personally, who is someone who does a lot of hiking, but also does a lot of videography and photography. Having this little compartment where I can carry my camera and my drone and my gimbal, it's just a really nice feature to have instead of just using a normal day pack where I would have to just throw everything into the pack all loose, which runs the risk of potentially breaking something and just having a bunch of clutter. And I'm not one that really likes clutter. One of the most important things to have is a bottle of water. We all know that we have to stay hydrated to survive, and so when you're doing an activity like hiking, you may not realize how much you might be sweating, and so you never go on a hike without having proper hydration. Hydrate beforehand and always have at least one Nalgene with you whenever you're doing a hike, maybe even a second if you're someone that loses water quickly. But I cannot stress this enough, always have water with you. You don't want to be 3, 4, 5 miles into a hike and realize that you have no water. And then also with water, I always make sure that I bring a snack with me in case I get hungry while I'm hiking. Typically when I'm hiking, I really don't snack and I really don't get that hungry. I don't know if it's just because I'm super distracted by the hike and just enjoying it that I don't really think about food, but in the event that I do get hungry or I'm out there longer than I anticipated, it's always nice to have something to snack on. Typically, I'll just bring some trail mix or some sort of protein bar. As far as protein bars go, you can get Cliff Bars, No Cals, or my personal favorite is the RX bars, preferably the blueberry. To me, the blueberry is the absolute best. There's plenty of different protein bars out there that you can choose from, but personally, I just enjoy the RX bars. As I mentioned earlier, I talked about always being prepared and knowing what the weather is going to be like before you go do a hike and trying to dress appropriately for what the weather conditions are. But sometimes we know that weather can be a bit unpredictable. And so I always try to carry some sort of lightweight rain jacket. This one is just a Columbia rain jacket. Sometimes if I know it's 100% guaranteed that it's not gonna rain, I won't bring it. It's always nice to have a rain jacket at your disposal because hiking when wet is not the most fun thing to do, and then when you look at certain geographical locations, if you are getting wet, then you run the risk of hypothermia, which is something that you do not want to get involved in. So yeah, for the most part, I always try to carry a rain jacket. And then I have this multi-purpose stuff sack where I just keep a bunch of different random things that I always try to carry with me. So let's open it up and discuss some of the things that I carry in this stuff sack. First and foremost is a med kit. Most of the time you're not running into fatal injuries when you're hiking, especially if you're just doing a day hike. At most, you might be dealing with a blister or a rolled ankle. In the event that something like that does happen, it is nice to have a med kit. This med kit is pretty much fully packed out. I mean, there's all sorts of different med kits you can go with. I won't go into a super detailed list of things that you might need in your med kit. Maybe I'll do a future video about that. But if you are curious about things that should be in your med kit when you go on a hike, you can Google it or YouTube it. But just know that it's always good to have a med kit on you whenever you do go hiking. I also carry this little beaker with some bleach in it, just in case I have to purify any water on trail. Bleach just happens to be my preferred method, but there's a couple different ways that you can do this. To me, the bleach is just what seems to be the most convenient. If I'm doing an early sunrise hike or a sunset hike, I'll carry my headlamp because that means obviously it's gonna be dark or it's gonna get dark, and so it's nice to be able to have a headlamp to see where I'm going when I'm hiking on trail. But if you don't have a headlamp, any flashlight will do. The flashlight on your phone can work. But yeah, having some sort of light source is always good to have. This is another little light that is solar powered, and it pops up, and it also has a little spot to where you can charge your phone if you need to charge your phone. I don't always carry this with me, but it is good to have in the event of an emergency situation where maybe I got lost on trail and I have to stay overnight. Also, with the potential emergency situation where maybe I do have to stay overnight, I will carry these waterproof matches with me. I can't remember where I got these. I think it might have been a present. Don't always carry it with me, but it is good for an emergency situation where maybe you do get stuck out overnight and you need to build a fire. And then another emergency item that I would say is probably a little more important is a compass. Typically, if I'm doing a day hike, again, it is on established trails and they're pretty well marked, but that's not always the case, and sometimes you can get lost. So it's always good to have a compass to know which direction you're going and how to get back on trail, get back to wherever base camp is or where the trailhead is. And also, if you don't have a compass, remember that most of us have smartphones these days, so there is a compass on your smartphone that you can use. But in the event that a smartphone dies, it is nice in case of emergency to have a separate compass as a backup. I like this compass because it has a whistle on it. I mean, you can get a lot of different compasses that come with whistles, but yeah, it's just another great added feature for emergency situations. If I'm lost or if something doesn't go according to plan, great thing to carry. And inside my stuff sack, I have this other stuff sack, and basically what I carry in this smaller stuff sack are some different toiletry things. So I'll carry some Aquaphor just in case my lips get chapped. Most of the items in this toiletry bag are just personal discretion, but the biggest item that I would say that anybody should be carrying is a trowel. And if you don't know what a trowel is, basically this is to dig your cat holes for if you have to use the bathroom, poop on trail. It's always good to have a trowel with you so you can take care of your business if you're out on a hike and don't have access to a bathroom, don't have a way to get back in time before, you know, it happens. It's not a scenario that you want to find yourself in, so definitely bring a trowel with you. When it hits, and there's nothing you can really do. You can't really control your body to stop that. If you can, then that's definitely a superpower. And then I'll also bring some camp soap for after I do take care of that business, just to be able to wash my hands. Just because we're out in the woods doesn't mean that we can't be clean and healthy, so yeah. Okay guys, so that's everything that I carry in my pack whenever I go on a day hike. Again, this is just personal things that I carry. You can change it and tweak it if you'd like. But if you found this video to be helpful, make sure to go leave a like on it. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure to go subscribe to the channel. And if you're an avid hiker and there's something you take on a hike that I don't have listed, feel free to drop that in the comments below. I'd love to hear your suggestions and see how your list differs from mine. Also guys, remember, if you're gonna go hiking, make sure to tell somebody where you're going and when you plan to return. Now go take a hike.